Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the News Desk. I'm Jeff Payne from Coveris, and I'm the host for this edition. Today, I'm joined by Sriram Rajagopalan from Inflectra. Sriram, welcome to the News Desk.
Welcome very much, Jeff. Nice to see you again.
You too. So you speak a lot about risk management, areas like that as they pertain to product development. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of risk in the last year in the world with the pandemic and things, and the world's changed. What do you think the future trends are for product development? What do you see happening out there?
Well, that's a very good open-ended question, Jeff. Very good one. Thank you for that. Today, I believe we are facing the impact of the fourth industrial revolution, which is called digital transformation. Roughly about 250 years back, we were shifting our dependency from animals to basically energy-based support like water and steam and things like that. And that's the first industrial revolution. And about 125 years back, we focused on massive production. And that's the industrialization era, second revolution. The third one is about 50 to 60 years back, we were entering the digital revolution. We were asking computers to enter the decision-making space where we broke down the work for the computers by logical decision-making thought process so that computers can do at scale, perform work at scale. And now we are entering the fourth space, industrial revolution space called digital transformation, where we are using artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing, and technologies like that to ask computers to think like humans. So this also means patterns needs to emerge within how people will work together collaboratively around customer requests. Whether you look at the government space or in the corporate space, product development is no longer focusing on what the customers want, but also what the business wants, what the technical team needs are, and what are some of those process-related changes need to be. And so cloud, self-learning solutions, telehealth, cybersecurity, and the list of solutions are endless. And when you think about each and every one of these things, the requirements are not articulated by customers coming and telling, I want this to be on cloud where I never knew anything called cloud. Or I want something like telehealth services where my doctor will be completely, completely remote on the phone. No one is coming and articulating these needs, but these needs are unearthed by both high tech and high touch interfaces, where technology has to actually do some data analysis and pattern matching algorithms to find out these are things that we probably have to start thinking about. At the same time, the high-touch interfaces are focusing on how people talk to each other, figuring out what they are saying, not saying, reading between the lines, and things of that nature. So both high-tech and high-touch are merging together in this process. So the innovation will govern the future wave of product development. And when we talk about innovation, I have to also bring the adaptive approaches like Agile, Scrum, and DevOps, and things like that. And now, when you take these things into consideration, risk management cannot be ignored. It is time that we start looking at some of those traditional and legacy way of doing things, as they simply are no longer conducive to the next generation of work that we want to do, right? And if we don't address these risks proactively, we are going to react to those risks. And that means it's going to lose our time, or it's going to involve a lot of costs, right? And example is, take a look at this, the SARS virus, the severe acute respiratory syndrome virus. And the mutation patterns of that is somewhat relatively known among the virology space. However, that was not adequately prioritized for research and development. But when the global pandemic broke, we have to then react with innovative ways of finding cures. right? And similar problems are evolving in leadership communication and in security breaches that we have seen in the colonial pipeline, the solar winds and things like that. And so proactive risk management as part of innovation in future product development will become the mainstream. And that will be how we will continue to innovate repeatedly.
Interesting what you're saying about innovation and experimentation and their importance going forward. Obviously, as you mentioned, I mean, those concepts are supposed to be key aspects of Agile and DevOps and modern software development processes. How do you propose bringing this innovation into the product development process today?
Right. And you are absolutely right about many organizations already joining the Agile DevOps bandwagon or have already benefited from the transformation by doing the work. While we are innovating with many things like hybrid cars, self-autonomous vehicles, the messenger RNA, wearable devices, and the list is endless again, we are thinking the innovation as the next slice of bread. Not everything needs to be radical innovation. In lean manufacturing, we call that kaikaku. Not everything needs to be the next cloud services. How do we put ourselves in Mars? And, we don't need to be always thinking of radical innovation, but we should not forget the value of those incremental innovation, which is Kaizen, continuous improvement, doing something better from yesterday so that we are better off for the future tomorrow, right? Small architectural changes that we can do and incremental process changes that we can bring are all bottom-up thinking. It's not someone at the top going to come and tell you, oh, you have to change the way you write your modular code so that it becomes more secure. No one at the top is going to come and tell you that, right? So some of these thought processes have to come from the bottom up. If you recall the strategic thinking processes, and there is also this serendipity and emergent thinking. These things are all coming from the bottom up, where we are thinking, okay, how do we do some experimentations and benefit from what is working, what is not working, and how can we make changes to make it work better, right? Recall that thought process here. I think one of the reasons why we continuously face these challenges is because we are focusing more and more on what value will we add to the customer, rather than looking at these incremental innovations for how can we make our products stable, sustainable, and secure, right? So I believe there are three areas where we can bring this innovation simultaneously and not sequentially. The first level is going to be individual level. The second is going to be at the team level. The third is going to be at the organizational level. Now, at the individual level, we should try to look ourselves and see how we can become more productive. Now, leveraging frameworks such as personal agility, showing our commitment to Kaizen mentality, bringing innovative ideas to the product backlog so that people collectively can discuss what that could be, thinking how we can make self-organization become core as part of our product ecosystem thinking. That is all at the individual level. We should not be just letting other people dictate us. We should be able to come and say, here is an idea. I attended a webinar. Here is a conference that I attended. Here is an idea that I experimented. Will this work for our team? Will this work for this? So that kind of thought process should come from, bottom up. Now, the second thing is going to be at the team level. Now, once the self-organization is taking shape, this pushes the technical team members to think business savvy considerations. Like, what does this mean? Just because you are able to do something here, does it mean that, we should do it? What's the value proposition that we are having from this? That thought process comes up. And the same way, the technical members are benefiting business savvy thought process. The business savvy members will become a little bit technically understanding the risk elements of using or not using some of these things too soon or too late. What are those challenges? For instance, DevOps is known, and we have actually started introducing DevSecOps, where security already part of the whole decision-making equation.
Right.
Now, when you take it out, and then you scratch your head on why Colonial Pipeline problem happens and SolarWinds problem happens, we chose to ignore security for some reason, and now we are paying it with the risk of the consequences, right? And so that's what we are trying to talk at the intermediate level, the team level. Now, this is one of the reasons why I always say between shift left and shift right, one should also shift their thinking up, right? And when you bring these things, you move into the organizational level where technology, training, and coaching are no longer considered operating costs, but they become capital expenditure. Right? So technology is no longer a tool for the business as once originally thought, because if you really think about that, look at Azure and AWS, because they have turned completely new streams of businesses, revenue streams by technology as a service now, right? And so people should be trained and coached continuously so that they can unlearn the old ways of thinking and relearn the new innovative ways of how you can make customers on the driving seat for subsequent product development, so that the products that you develop are continuously stable, continuously sustainable, and continuously secure.
Great stuff. I love your perspective on innovation. Sriram, can you talk a little bit about what Inflector is doing to address innovation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So first, we are building the ecosystem that I talk about ecosystem a lot, and now we are building the ecosystem here as well with our product suite. So Inflector has the Spira family of products, and the Spira family of products is focusing on how to manage requirements, testing, tasks, incidents or defects and change requests and risks and all those things, along with a project dashboard and things like that for the individual team and the organizational level. And then we are also integrating that with the Rapis, which is an automation tool that supports the automation needs. At the same time, it releases the capacity for individuals to spend time on innovation. Like, how do I maintain these tools continuously? Now that these things are automated, where can I put my capacity for new innovative ideas and things like that? And then we are also using the Chrono Desk, which is the help desk functionality that focuses not on the customers, but on the customers and the internal team, so that we are able to identify things that are not necessarily identified directly by the teams, but by the customers and the customers' customers, and now bringing new features into the market, into the space of product development. Second, we are releasing new functionality in all these three spaces repeatedly. One simple example that I want to call out is the OData functionality that we recently released. Oftentimes people come and say, I would like to have a new report. Can you develop this custom report for us? Yes, we can develop this custom report. But now if you are putting you in the driver's seat where you extract the data using OData into your system, now you have the power of slice and dice the way you want to do it and do with this, rather than we developing the report constantly for us. Yes, we can do that, but we are now putting customers in the driving seat where they could do the work, right? And we are also introducing the Gherkin functionality to support the behavior-driven development for more user acceptance testing and things like that. And those are some of the new features that we have introduced within our suite of products. And third, we are also constantly keeping some of the industry level thinking happening, like security, privacy, regulations, compliance. We are always keeping them as part of our product development and training. Well, just because technology can do something doesn't mean that it should do that. So when customers come and say, can you do this? We say, yes. And can you think about the risk that will cost to you because we are doing this? And now they are thinking a couple of steps backward and say, you're right, we never thought about that. And so being the voice of security and compliance for our customers allows the customers to trust us more and come to us with new ideas and continuously support us. So these are some of the simple things that we are trying to do. And I encourage all of you to go check out our product suites, documentation, and several webinars that we have done. Also in the Inflectra booth on inflectra.com.
Awesome. Well, we are out of time. Thank you, Sriram, for your comments and thoughts, and looking forward to seeing you at the conference.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Always nice to speak with you.
You too.